Hello friends, welcome you back to Thoughtfulness. Hello Hima.
Hello?
In the previous videos, we have seen some of the basics introductions and the fundamentals of information security, the triangle of confidentiality, integrity and availability as well. For today's video, let us start with a small narrative reference from Ramayana. It is just before the time of war between Rama and Ravana. Sri Rama decided to send a messenger to Sri Lanka, where the demon king Ravana is living. He identified a wise person whose name is Angada as a messenger. So Angada is identified as a messenger from Sri Rama's troop and sent to Sri Lanka in order to establish negotiation with King Ravana. Angada reached Sri Lanka, met Ravana in his fort. He tried to make some peaceful negotiations. Unfortunately, that was not turned out. Here, the important thing to note is the messengers sent from Sri Rama to Ravana is not just only to establish peaceful talks, negotiations. There are some more important agenda behind sending a messenger from one country to another country for peaceful talks before an outburst of war. Those important points are usually missed by many people. But it has a very big agenda, it has a very big draft sitting inside which is very much helpful to take precious decisions. Of course, the main agenda is to make peaceful communications, negotiations to avoid the war. Apart from that, there are some important aspects in that agenda too. What are they? It is to record the surroundings, environment, and all the visual clues available in the place. The messenger is traveling from one place to another place. That is, the messenger is traveling to the enemy's place, sitting in front of the enemy, and the messenger observes all the things available in the surroundings. The surroundings may have a lot of visual clues. Those visual clues may be appealing or may be important. That is a separate thing. But what is available there? What are all the things happening around? Everything will be recorded by the messenger. This is the first thing. After that, the messenger closely observes the socio-economic stature of the country. The messenger is being sent from Sri Rama to Ravana. As in our case, the messenger is Angada. Angada closely observes the socio and economic stature of Sri Lanka. So how people are doing well? Are they sound in their economical background? Are they well off or very well treated socially across the country? Or do they have some internal worries or unhappiness with the ruling king? All these things were monitored. So earlier, the first point the messenger monitors is the surroundings. A snapshot of the surroundings and any visual clues if available, that will be taken. The next important thing is socio-economic situation of the country. Apart from that, the attitude and the preparedness of the king for a war. So what is the attitude of the king? Whether the king is ready to listen what the messenger is trying to convey, or the king is ready to face an outburst, that is very much eager to break a war against Sri Rama. That is also one of the things. Using the words, using the tonal elements, varieties of responses coming from the king during the conversation, all these things will be noted by the messenger. Last but not the least, throughout the country, what is their exposure to food, art, culture, entertainment, activities, interests, sports, everything, every aspect appearing in front of a messenger will to be noticed and recorded. So all the things happened across the country during the messenger's visit will be noted. So Ankata never failed in any of these aspects. He closely watched Ravana. He closely identified the socio-economic status of the people in Sri Lanka. Apart from that, he also closely watched for the visual clues surrounding the palace of Ravana or surrounding across the Sri Lanka. So what are all the clues available were fully recorded by the messenger. Of course, after the recording is completed, after the observation is fully done, now the messenger is ready to depart to the place of origin. While meeting Rama, Ankata needs to convey the message he got from Ravana. Along with the message, he needs to submit the reports, submit the observations he collected throughout his tenure as a messenger across the country Sri Lanka. What is important here is Angada should not apply his smartness or his intellect or his decision making or opinion making analytical skills over the data collected. He just need to produce the data whatever he collected during his visit to Sri Rama. This is the role of a messenger. So the role of a messenger is clearly defined. The first goal of a messenger to establish peace talks in order to avoid war, negotiate the stuff with the enemy king. The second thing is the person should observe all the happenings around, like socio-economic stature, people's practice, food, interests, etc. The third important thing is the messenger should not apply his opinion or decision making skills over the data collected. So the data collected is submitted as it is. These are all the things I saw. These are all the things I found among the people. These are all the things the people of Sri Lanka into. This is the behavior of the king and the people inside his ministry. These are all the items I found. These are all the ways of preparedness they show towards the war or any other calamities happening, everything. So he just reproduced what he had seen. This is what Angada did. Using those valuable informations, Sri Rama applied his analytical thoughts, applied and made some decisions strategically and defeated Ravana. Then he killed Ravana, set Sita Devi free and brought her back to his place. This is a part of the story. Let us keep the story aside. Similarly, in Mahabharata, Sri Krishna went as a messenger from Pandavas to Kauravas for making the peace talks. The same kind of role which Angada played in Ramayana was played by Sri Krishna. This is just for your reference, but we are not going much deeper into the stories. We are looking now hard towards the concepts. This is a classic example for footprinting, collecting information about the target. So whenever a person plans to attack a target, the person will collect the information about the target. This footprinting is of two types. One is active footprinting, passive footprinting. Active footprinting is a mechanism in which the target knows what exactly happening. The target is aware that some person from the enemy's troop is residing in our place, doing all the mishaps, collecting the details about us. Even though they know the details, they cannot avoid this. This is active footprinting. So the person is aware, the target is aware about the footprinting or about the data collection. Whereas in case of passive footprinting, the data is collected through various channels that the target may not be aware of. The target is not much aware of what is happening, but the data will be collected in the stealth mode. The data will be collected in the stealth mode, which is secretly. The secret collection of data is happening in the passive mode, whereas in active mode, the data collection is completely transparent. The person goes or visits that place exactly and collects the data. Here, what Angada did in Ravana's palace is active footprinting. So Angada went to Sri Lanka in person. He collected the details, everything from Ravana and his country and from his countrymen. Whereas passive footprinting is totally a different thing. What is a passive footprinting? The first thing is the data will be collected from secret channels. There will be secretly designated channels through which the data will be collected. It may be through spies or some intelligence people living of their own, living in the enemy soil. They will provide the details. Lot more ways. Today in modern science there are a lot of ways to collect data passively. And the other way is known people. So I know some people, some persons, that person might know you very well, but you are not aware that I know this person very well. So using this person, I can collect your details, which you may not aware of. So you are not aware that I collected the details about you, but that person gives all the detail for me. One is collecting through hidden channels, another one is collecting through unknown persons. Another way of collecting data is through the neighboring kingdoms. So the neighboring kingdoms might know lot more things about the person or about the king or about the ruler when comparing to the faraway kingdoms, because they used to have trade, commercial, economic and cultural relationship with the kingdom. So they have lot of things to expose. They have lot of secrets. They may know lot of secrets, or even if it is not a secret, they know what is exactly happening or what is exactly being in practice in that country. So the neighborhood kingdoms are a good source of information about our target. And another way is through masquerading. So masquerading means one person acts as another person. That is, he went to the enemy's land in disguise. Not going directly, they can visit in disguise, identifying the sources, identifying the relevant information and collecting the data. The enemy or the target place might not be aware of the person coming in the disguise. They thought that he is yet another person visiting the country, but they don't watch or they don't observe what he is doing. Simply that person collects the data and come back to his own country and reveals the data collected by them. This is also an example of passive footprinting. Another thing is collecting information from publicly available data. In public domain, lot of details will be available, like literary sources, poetic sources. On those days, the data about a person, that is an information about a person and his country and the wealth of his country, everything will be revealed through some literary sources or poems written by great poets time to time. These poets were patronized by those big kings and rewarded with huge amount of money or wealth for their praising phrases. Such phrases and literary references are very good references available in the public domain. Nowadays, such kind of publicly available data we can see from websites, blogs, social networks and lot more channels. So the data available in public domain is huge. This is also a way of passive footprinting. In the computing industry, footprinting is done at varieties of tier levels. Hardware footprinting is there, software footprinting, network footprinting. If you are having a server or operating system, everything can be footprinted and identified about their details.
How to save ourselves from losing information.
Yeah, how to save ourselves from leaking the data during footprinting. To be honest, it is not possible to totally hide away from footprinting. If you are in a public domain, if you are exposed to some data, if you are a part of public interest, definitely you cannot hide away yourself from the public appearing. So it is obvious that footprinting may reveal some details about you, but you must take care of two things. that is possible. You can take care of two things, which is very much possible. You need to ensure an infrastructure through which you are not revealing your sensitive or personal or decision making key concepts as information. This is the first important thing, because you already know that you are available in a public domain. The next one is reduce or restrict the information. Identify the information about you scattered across the public domain. Try to reduce it or restrict it. These are all the two possible ways to avoid the leaking of data during active or passive footprinting. During active footprinting, it is not possible, as you are already aware of that person and the nature of the person, but it is in a very rare case only you will see the active footprinting will happen, whereas passive footprinting will be happening anonymously. You cannot detect who is doing and all, but active footprinting can be easily detected. This is the person who came in, this is the person who collected the data, and this is the person who is going to harm us. Everything can be identified using active footprinting. But we need to be careful in exposing the data. We need to be careful in exposing our data in public domain in order to get ourselves safe during passive footprinting. That's all about today's video. I hope this video provided you a good idea about active and passive footprinting, and what are all the types, how the footprinting happens, and what is the importance of footprinting, etc. In the next video, I will come up with one more interesting concept, which is the thing which happens after footprinting. That is an important thing which follows immediately after footprinting. That is the thing we are going to see in the next video. If you are having any doubts with footprinting, or even in the previous videos in the basics or fundamental concepts of information security, please do comment in the comment section. Apart from this, if you are having any problems or any suggestions or any ideas of improvement on the videos or the content, or if you are having some good topics in mind, or if you want to learn some new topics, please don't fail to put them in the comment. I will definitely look into the comments and act accordingly. I will do consider your comments very importantly. Until then, bye.
Goodbye.